Hello, everyone. This is Ross Carpri again with Keller Williams Metro South, coming to you again to discuss some things in the real estate business. And alongside me, I've got Andy Gagliano with Gagliano Mortgage, and he's going to talk to you about a few things in just a little bit. But what we want to try to focus on today is first-time home buyers. I know a lot of people that are out there are renting apartments or renting property on a monthly basis because they don't feel like they can afford a home. Well, we've got several different options for you. First of all, we want you to be in a house, but that's not always possible. A lot of times you have a married couple just getting started, trying to get their family established. They might have one kid, and just trying to get to fulfill the American dream, but it's not always possible when you're purchasing a home. So today we want to talk to you about a couple of alternatives that might be better than the situation you're in, but not quite up to the standard of purchasing a home. Two of those things would be a townhome, which is basically a structure that's attached to other structures, but you do have home ownership. Most townhomes, you actually own the property, and when you sell your townhome, the property is attached as well. The other different type of home would be a condo. Now, condominiums are a little bit different. Condominiums, you do not own the property, but you pay a maintenance fee to an organization, a property manager, and they will upkeep the yard and upkeep the exterior of the property. In most cases, they'll take care of the roof, depending on the property and where it's located. And there's a maintenance fee involved in that. Now, the thing you need to look at from a budget standpoint is how much can you afford to put down on a house? And when I say put down, I don't necessarily mean the deposit or down payment, but how much are you allotted in your monthly budget that you might be able to get a home? Some people it might be $700-800 a month. Some people it might be a little bit more. Some people a little bit less. But if you sit and look at apartments nowadays, apartments are going to run you in most cases, depending on the area and how new it is and how modern it is. Apartments now are going $1,500 or more. And if you can afford a $1,500 apartment allowance, you can purchase a home. Now, it may not be the size home you want. It may not be in the area you want, or it may not be exactly the way you want it. But the main goal is to get into the industry so that you can start building up equity, which you can use later on in a purchase to purchase a bigger home. So, and Andy's going to talk about that in just a little bit, just to kind of give you some ideas. But first option would be a condominium. Second option would be a townhome, and obviously the goal would be to get into a single family home. But the main thing you want to try to remember is, how can I succeed at both? And what I can get Andy to do, talk to you about in just a second, is what is it going to take to qualify for either of those, whether it be a townhome or a condominium or a single family home. So, but the main thing is to get you out of the apartment to where you can build up equity and not see your equity just go out the window every month. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Andy, just let him go over some pointers for you on things to look for to see if you're eligible to purchase a home.
Yeah. Thank you, Ross. I appreciate you having me on again today. And yeah, the condo and townhome market is still a great entry point for a lot of buyers. We're doing quite a few loans for people who are buying those two types of properties. And yeah, I want to clarify one thing. that Ross mentioned, when Ross said you don't own the property, he means you don't own the land. That when you buy a condo, you're not buying the land, you're buying the structure, the interior of the structure. And so think about it like your apartment. You would own the inside of your apartment, but you wouldn't own the dirt. So that is a big difference between a condo and a townhome or a single family property, single family residence, because with a townhome or a single family residence, you're going to own the dirt that structure sits on. And so, condos are a great option for a lot of buyers. There are a lot of them around Birmingham. And, I will say that as far as the financing goes for condos, there's a lot that goes into financing a condo, and it's vastly different than financing for a townhome or a single family residence. And so it's very important to work with a mortgage company that knows a good bit about condominiums, about what it is that the end investor is looking for in those condominiums, being Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, VA. That's the end investor on those loans. And then with a townhome, they're pretty cut and dry. They're pretty well going to be just like financing a single family residence. But because of that difference, because you as a buyer, if you buy a condo, you're not going to own the dirt that condo sits on. There's some different qualifications and different standards that those properties have to meet. And it's very important to work with an experienced real estate agent and an experienced mortgage loan officer to be able to make those deals happen and happen smoothly. So one thing that I want to point out about condominiums is that most condominiums, I've never seen one that doesn't have it. So, but I'm hesitant to say all. Most condominiums are going to have homeowners association dues. And those homeowners association dues go to manage the common areas, like the entrances, the parking lot. If there's a pool, it pays to maintain that. Pays to maintain the landscaping, the yard, the roof, like Ross said. And so it's important as a buyer to look at the covenants and restrictions to know what is covered by those dues. What is your money going towards? But
Right.
Most importantly, when qualifying for a mortgage, we, the mortgage company, have to count the homeowners association dues against someone's qualifications as if it was part of the mortgage payment. It's not actually going to be part of the mortgage payment, but we have to consider the fact that you as a buyer, you have to be able to afford to pay those HOA dues. So we consider that to be part of your mortgage payment in determining how much you can qualify to buy, how much of a mortgage you can qualify to get, and what you can spend to purchase a property.
Right.
So the condos are it's very important, as I said, that everything's considered there by your mortgage loan officer and that your realtor is experienced in selling condominiums, because on the real estate side, you don't want to get into something with a condo where there may be some special assessments that are being placed on the condominium a year or 2 years from now that you don't know about, and you get surprised by that. So your real estate agent can really help you kind of work through those things. On the mortgage side, we're going to be looking at a few of those things as well. It can help to point those out to you when we see them as they crop up. But in qualifying for a townhome, really, it's almost identical in qualifying for a townhome as it is qualifying for a single family residence. We're going to look at and from that point forward as well with a condo, they're the same. We're going to look at your income. We're going to look at your debts. You've got to have a certain amount of a gap there between what your current debts are and what your debts will be with that mortgage payment. They've got to be within a certain percentage of your gross monthly income, your income before taxes that you receive. And so we'll look at that. We'll look at those numbers, make sure that you qualify for that much of a mortgage payment that you're looking to get. And, Ross, sometimes this will come up with us. We'll have someone call us to get pre-approved for a mortgage. And when they call to get pre-approved for a mortgage, they don't tell us, hey, I'm looking at condominiums and townhomes and single family residence. And so we'll tell that person after we run numbers, okay, you are approved for a mortgage up to, let's say, $250,000. Well, if they don't tell us that they're looking at condominiums, or they don't know that they're going to be looking at condominiums at that point in time, most of the time we're going to qualify them as if they're buying a single family residence or a townhome. And so if we tell them, hey, you're qualified to purchase a home up to 250 or get a mortgage up to $250,000, and then they find a condominium that has $300 or $400 or $500 a month HOA dues attached to it, well, that can often take someone from being able to qualify for that $250,000 mortgage down to maybe 200 or 175. And now they don't qualify for that property that they've fallen in love with. So it's important that those HOA dues are considered in qualifying and in the pre-approval. And it's another reason why it's important to have that open line of communication between you, the buyer, and your mortgage company, to be able to make sure that all things are being considered and that you are being qualified and to purchase a home in the right way.
Yeah.
Just to make that process smooth. So, but yeah, there's Birmingham, we're not heavy into condos, as you know, Ross, like a lot of areas in Florida are, where they're very condo heavy, or even in the larger cities.
Right.
You go to even Atlanta, or especially like New York City, big cities like that have a lot of condominiums. Birmingham's not saturated with condominiums, but we have quite a nice selection in a lot of different parts of town, from Hoover to Highway 280 area, Vestavia, Homewood, of course, Birmingham, the downtown area in Birmingham. There's a lot of really nice condominiums out there to look at, and places that would make people a great first property.
Sure.
First home.
And the main goal would be to get them out of an apartment, and that'd be a perfect way to start.
Absolutely.
Because what we're finding, what we're finding now is there's really a demand for people wanting to purchase a condo, whereas in the past there was not much of a demand. But now you've got, like you said, South Side, you've got downtown. A lot of the millennials are moving downtown. A lot of the people my age are moving downtown.
That's
They
true.
don't want the maintenance. They don't want to cut grass. They don't want to trim shrubs or paint the building. So they typically just get that and try to live a stress-free life for what that's worth. But that's a good thing now, because in the past it was hard to sell condominiums, and now they're not as hard to sell as they used to be.
No, they're not.
And so that's a good alternative for people wanting to get in the housing market. And plus, like I said, if you purchased a condo downtown, and 3 or 4 years from now you decide, you know what, I think I'm going to get married and I'm going to settle down and maybe get me a townhome or a single family home, that'd be the perfect thing to sell, because there's a demand for it.
Yeah.
So that does help a lot. So.
Yeah. And what you said, you've given up rent in lieu of a mortgage. Every month you're making that mortgage payment, you're paying the balance down on that mortgage while the property value is rising. And this gap represents the equity that you're building. So if you're building that over a 3-year or 5-year period of time, you come away with some money from the sale of that condo that you can use for down payment and closing cost on a new home. Whereas
Mhm.
if you were renting, you'd be every month you're making that rent check, you're just throwing that money in the trash for all practical purposes
Yeah,
as far as building your wealth.
correct. And if you do that 3 years, for example, that's 36 months of whatever your monthly rent is. And that will make you sick because that's a lot, that's most people's down payment on a
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
And, but they don't realize it at the time because they're looking at the present time. And at the time that they're looking at that, it seems to be it makes the most sense. But I really wish people would just sit back and look and try to compare. And I think they would see otherwise.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't want to know how much they're throwing away in rent.
No.
It's what you said. It's hard to find an apartment right now for $1,500 a month or less.
Yeah.
And so $1,500 a month for a year, that's $18,000. Multiply that times 3 years, you're at $54,000. You've just thrown away $54,000. What you did, this will make you, if you're renting, this will make you feel even worse. What you did with that $54,000 is you just made your landlord even more wealthy.
Yeah.
That's what you did.
At your expense, right?
At your expense. You just handed somebody $54,000.
Yep.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
That'll make you sick in a hurry.
Yes. Yeah. When you think about the fact that you could have taken some of that $54,000 and saved that for yourself by paying your mortgage balance down, and then just the magic of appreciation in property values, you're earning even more money that way.
Right.
So it still makes sense. Home buying has made sense for decades, hundreds of years, and it's still going to make sense going forward.
Sure.
So,
sure.
Yeah.
Well, good deal. Well, I hope and pray that you guys listen to what we're trying to tell you. It's still a good market. In the past, the news kind of dictates where the market goes. You hear a lot of people saying the positive things about the market, some people saying negative things about the market. But one thing I look at is you still have to have a place to live. And we're just trying to help you make that transition smoother. So if you need any information from me, I'll be more than happy to help you. Again, my name is Ross Carpri. I'm at 205-601-0123. I'll let Andy give you all of his information, and maybe you can give us a call if you have any questions.
Yeah, I'm happy to help. My number is 205-979-4412. I'm an extension 1 and happy to help or answer any questions anybody may have, and no charge for that phone call. So if you just want to gather information, even if it's not the right time, if mentally or financially you're not ready, it's still worth having a conversation now, because we can point you in the right direction to get you ready in 6 months or 12 months when the time is right for you.
Right.
So
good deal. Well, Andy, thank you so much for your time. It's always good to see you.
Thank you, Ross.
And hopefully we'll get together next week and come up with another topic that we can give some people something to talk about.
That sounds great. Looking forward to it. Thank you. Have a great week.
You too.